Hey everyone, this is John, Class of Canines with Class. I hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to tackle one of the most common behavioral issues that us owners deal with when it comes to our dogs, and that is jumping on people. Whether that be jumping on us or jumping on guests, I know that all of us at some point in time can agree, at least most likely agree, that we have struggled with our dogs jumping. So this video is going to cover just that, and going forward I'm going to give you some tips and some things to apply that hopefully can make that issue better going forward. All right, guys, so the first thing I want to cover that I feel is the most important when it comes to anything in our dog's behavior, especially jumping, is us. Okay, when I say us, I mean, what are we conveying to our dog? All right, so a big thing that you can really put into your brain here is actions speak louder than words. All right, so for example, I'm going to go over it in real time here. I'm going to call my dog to me. Come. Okay, now I asked her to jump on me, right? But say here, if she jumped on her own, come here, jumped on her own, and I said, no, and I'm touching her, right? No, but I pet her and I just said no. My action spoke there that I liked what you did, so I pet you. I basically reinforced the behavior, all right? So us being aware of what we're doing to be aware of what we're conveying to our dog is super important. And you have to be consistent with the message that you send. So if that's the message you're sending most of the time, then that is what your dog will do. You're just saying no, but your actions are actually saying yes. All right, y'all. So the first piece of equipment I'm going to apply is the use of our leash. All right, whether that be outside or in the house, this right here is your best friend to help limit, deter, stop jumping in its tracks. If our dog is just off leash and just able to rehearse that behavior over and over, not only is the rehearsal going to make that behavior stronger and harder to deter, there's just nothing to interrupt it and stop it. All right. And, we can talk about using treats and stuff like that later. But if our dog really values jumping that much, treats really are just going to give a moment in time to be rewarded for not jumping. But then later in time, if they value jumping enough, that action of getting that affection and everything, they're just going to continue to do it. All right. So this is the real answer here, to start with a leash on in the house to make sure that we can interrupt jumping in real time. So for example, if somebody were to come into your home, all right, one, I would put the leash on way early, where I don't just put it on as soon as the door opens, because then you're going to have a dog that pairs all that together, just like going outside for a walk. And they may get amped anyways putting this on initially. They're just going to get amped up and pair it all together. I would kind of have the leash on a lot more than just in that scenario, so that it's not such a big deal. All right. But having this leash on way before somebody comes in will help with the situation. Now, having the leash on and in hand. And I do have to say that because sometimes we'll have the leash on and I say, oh, the client will say, oh, they jumped. Okay, was the leash on? Yeah. Was it in your hands? No, it was dragging. What am I going to do with it? Okay, so we have to make sure that we all are on the same page to put this together. Leash is on and on our person as well. All right, so if you can't do all this stuff right now, I would just put your dog away. So that's also another troubleshooting option. If you have too much going on and you can't do this stuff, rather than letting them rehearse it, put them away and then bring them out when you're ready. All right, there's not a rush to do this. It's not a big deal. And if you really care about limiting this behavior, this is what we do. All right, so if somebody walks in the house and your dog is about to jump, okay? As soon as they begin that action and are about to jump or start jumping, you have to pair a word to what you don't want them to do, okay? So you don't want them to jump, right? So I usually will use an interruption, like a no or an or you can just use the word off. I wouldn't use down in this scenario, because down will get confused with laying down, and then you're sending a mixed message and it's a gray area. So say Penny, somebody walks in and she tries to jump. Penny, say I'm a person. Off. I just pop that leash, or I hold steady pressure on. All right. As soon as they do it, you have to pair the word one and then leash pressure in opposite direction, away and off the person. Okay. So if you wait though about 5 seconds, your timing, tap my mic there, your timing is going to be off, and that's not ideal. Okay. So one more time, let's see if she even does it. Come here. Up. off. All right. And obviously, I'm not going to send mixed messages like this in everyday life, but for the purpose of this video, real time. All right. And be sure to add to this that your guest knows the rule of three: no talk, no touch, no eye contact until we're settled. If we try to fight with the dog with the leash and the guest isn't cooperating and they're amping the dog up by talking to them, making eye contact, and trying to touch them, that is just fueling the fire to continue to try to do it. So it's mindful that all pieces of the puzzle go together the right way. So I'm all about having a lot of layers on things in case XYZ fails. So I don't want you to rely on this. This is just a spray bottle, but this is another option, another tool in our toolbox that we can consider to use to deter jumping. It's just like a cat. Does it work for all dogs? No. Do I love it as a first option? No. But for me, I don't think it's a bad idea. If the dog doesn't like it, you kind of have to test it out. You do the same sequence of pair word, that means a consequence, or you don't want them to jump, and then apply this. So it would be off, say this is the face, spray directly. Okay, it's just water, it's not a big deal. I know people will get upset about spraying water and stuff, but it's just too bad. And honestly, it does work at times. Okay. So the thing you need to be mindful about though is some dogs, one, will be desensitized to it. And two, some dogs like that action of the water spraying at them and it makes them more hyped up. So that's the downfall with that. All right. But having a few, they don't have to be that big, but having a few spray bottles around so that you can get to it very quickly if you're in a bind isn't a bad idea as an extra layer, a supplemental piece, but it wouldn't necessarily depend on it. Another tool that we can get from our toolbox is compressed air. It's kind of similar to the spray bottle, okay, but it's a little bit more intense. It's called Pet Corrector. That's the brand name. There are other companies that make this stuff. It's relatively expensive though, and for some dogs, they can really take it the wrong way, and it can be a little bit too much. Dog like Penny, she's really soft. I don't need to use this. It really depends on the dog though, but a decent amount of dogs can consider that more aversive than even a pop on a leash and a spray bottle. So you need to be mindful of what kind of dog you have, and you need to learn how to use that. So I'm actually going to go back to this really quick. With this, one, I would watch Pet Corrector's video. They have an application video because some people just get it and just go right to the face. You're not supposed to use this like that. You're supposed to spray it to an angle. So say this is the dog's face here. You're supposed to go like so, not right at them or right in their ear or something like that. So really recommend watching that video. I don't use this stuff a lot. It's more of a last ditch effort. And it's not super necessary in a lot of cases, but if you want to learn more about the Pet Corrector, go read the instructions and go to their video. But this is just another supplemental thing that we can consider if this fails, that fails, and some other things we try fail. Before this video ends, and I hope so far it was helpful, I just want to talk about a couple other tips, a couple other uh, pieces of advice that you can use going forward. Number one, if your dog, any dog, but especially a dog that's high energy and on edge all the time, you don't want to just throw the leash on and expect them to do really well with this stuff. All right. It's going to take a while, but let's help the dog get into a little bit more neutral, calm state of mind by giving them exercise. If we don't give them any exercise and just do this stuff, just like anything, you're really not going to get the desired result. So it's really crucial for any dog to get exercise, but especially one that's high strung. If they're coming into a situation where we're going to practice jumping on guests and a guest comes in, I want to have that dog tired first. I want to have them exercise. I want to have them gassed out. So it's a lot easier for us and the edge is already taken off. All right. So anything we can use going forward to our advantage, we do it, and exercise is a big one. Number two, what gear do I use in terms of collars, harness, etc.? I don't use, excuse me, ma'am. Hi, lay down. I don't use a harness, okay? That's not something that I feel is clear communication to the dog, and it's not really gonna teach them what not to do. It may actually make them more frustrated and try to push, 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 and it's just not gonna have the results that we need. So what I will use is a martingale collar at the very least. I'll put some links in the description, a slip leash, and then also things that I use in my training. I'll use, training collars such as a star mark collar. I could put links in there, and a prong collar as well. Now, using a prong collar without the guidance and advice of a professional isn't advised here. Really, any of those tools without the use of a professional isn't advised. So it's really crucial, if you're going to use tools, to make sure that you're educated on them. Okay. And lastly, the talk about using treats. Say a lot of trainers will recommend floor on the floor, reward for floor on the floor before they jump. Give it a try. I always tell people, if you've already been there though and it's not working, then here we are. Okay. Now, I'm not opposed to using treats at all. If that's what has worked for you and it's good, and you have good education on the timing, again, timing of a punishment and timing of reinforcement is really crucial. So if you, for example, I said before, I think you let the dog jump for 5 seconds and you pet them, then you tell them to get off, and you pop the leash or give some leash pressure. That's not a clear message. All right. I don't want to leave a dog in gray area. I want to be black and white. If you use treats, for example, you want to make sure that you're sending that clear message as well, that it is indeed black and white and it's not a gray area. If you reward the dog when they already jump and then get off, then you feed them. So dog jumps, they put their paws off, and then you reward them. You have just inadvertently reinforced the action of jumping. All right. On the other hand, if you reward them before they jump, for some dogs that can work. But if they're rehearsed, this always will depend on the dog. If they're really strongly rehearsed on jumping, they've been doing it for a long time, there really isn't enough usually to just reward and interrupt jumping. That behavior has become so strong already that we do need to use something that is considered aversive, so that we can put a stop to the behavior and it's no longer desirable to continue to do. All right. So those are all the things you need to consider when you're training your dog, all right, to not jump. So I hope this video was useful. I know it was really long, but I think it's really nice to have a lot of options to use and how to use those things the right way. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope that people can get something out of this and apply it, and that they get great results with it. And if you do, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave some questions, some comments in the comment section. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much.